Find out what it's like to experience the world from above. Fly your own drone today. DroneCloneExperts.com specializes in high-quality, affordable drones. Now introducing their Limitless 2 model, equipped with a 4K camera for stunning Ultra HD clarity, GPS with precision auto return, and up to 25 minutes flight time on a single charge. Visit DroneCloneExperts.com now and enter promo code RADIO to receive 15% off your entire order. That's DroneCloneExperts.com.
Hey, this is Ruthie Foster. You're listening to Verbal Shenanigans.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to the program, the regularly scheduled programming here on Verbal Shenanigans. That is Mike. Hello, Mike.
Scott, regularly scheduled, as in it's probably supposed to be out on a certain day, but we'll just do it when we can. Yep.
When we get to it. Listen, the Thursday cast has been a little bit harder for me to get up consistently, but the Monday one's always there. The Monday one is always there, right for the picking, if you will.
For the cherry picking, if you will. So sweet yet tart.
Yes, which was our original motto, but we changed it a little bit.
Yeah, we complained too much. We kept on pointing to each other and said, "You're the tart," and we said, "Forget verbal shenanigans."
Yeah. So, if you are just tuning in, welcome to the show. As I said, that's Mike. I am Scott here, and basically, we are a weekly podcast that simply searches for passionate people. And, lots of guests. We have tons of episodes, kind of almost pre-recorded in a way to come out. So we are going to keep doing this 2-a-week thing for the foreseeable future. So if you're just tuning in, there's been a whole lot of episodes lately. In fact, our next episode is episode 300, Mike. 300 of these we have done.
And that's the retirement show, if I recall, right?
That's it. Yep.
That's the one that closes it out and never touching our microphone again. You know, we're not like Jordan, who's going to show up on the Washington Wizards podcast. No.
Right.
When we say we retired,
that's it.
It's over.
That's it. You're going to see like the behind the scenes of us, like a documentary, like Mike trash talking me trash talking Mike, some crazy parties we went to. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a really good series. We're going to release 10 years from now.
Eventually, we'll talk about the third member who committed suicide, but we'll leave that for the 30.
What did I tell you about that? Don't bring up Eric.
I mean, eventually we got to say something. I mean, he's still in my attic. I don't know what to do with the body.
That's got to be smelling by now, is what I'm saying. That's got to be smelling.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast has been going for 5 years. I really think we should just put him in the ground, dude.
Yeah, but we're coming up on 300, and we got a pretty cool guest for that one. And actually, the next, 4 or 5 episodes, we had a lot of cool guests for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed last week's episode, or 3 days ago's episode with Mike Reynolds, the Garbage Warrior. You got a lot of positive feedback on Instagram over there, so I guess Mike's got some fans. At least one Mike has some fans.
I would have really loved if, like, all the Mike Reynolds haters came out for that episode. Like, people are like, what's so wrong with styrofoam? Huh? It's good. It's going to be here forever. I want my houses made out of that.
Yeah. I don't use bottles. I use plastic water bottles. We don't use metal. We don't use glass. Mike Reynolds is a sham.
Tires are for only one use, to burn them excessively, okay?
Right. That's how you heat the house. You burn the tires. You don't use them to build walls. You burn them.
Yeah, and that way you don't need an oven and all. The chicken gets its own smoke. It's delicious.
But yeah, we're coming up on 300. It's a pretty cool milestone, I guess, because it seems like just yesterday we were mock celebrating getting to episode 50, and honestly, that seems like I'm so bad with time. Like, if you told me what it feels like, that feels like it was about 2 years ago, when really it was about 5 years ago.
Yeah, son of a gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when you factor in, since most of the time we were just weekly,
Yep.
it takes a while to get to 250.
Sure does. I mean, we were about 50 episodes a year. This year, we're going to be this year we'll be way over it, and we'll kind of average out, because last year I think we did like 43 or something like that. So it's going to...
Yeah, we had some off weeks. Yeah, the last year was... Or was it 2018? I remember one we were like super struggling and all that. I think it might have been 2018, the year I was I didn't have a job and then you were busy with stuff.
Yeah.
That year was that was once every 2 weeks, sometimes 2.5.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, at one point you did a bit about when episode 300 will come out, if we were on pace to the way we were putting them out, and I guess you probably didn't know there was a pandemic coming, unless you did, Mike, unless you didn't tell us that. But, yeah, I would be curious to see what the date you came up with was and what the actual date is. We got to go back and find when that was, but it was a little while ago.
It was a bit ago, yeah, and I did see this coming, and I mean, you know me. I mean, my basement is full of Petri dishes. I look at all of them,
right.
And I determine what exactly is happening. I mean, mostly my wife says what's happening is I'm not cleaning down here, and that's why there's so much mold. But
right.
I'm like, no, I'm a scientist.
Yep.
That can't be it.
So you're taking credit for the global pandemic from your basement, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, at first I'm like, all right, I'll give it to the bat people of Wuhan, but I gotta be honest, it's been stirring for a little while, and I think credit has to be given when credit is due. And you want news coverage where they bring up like COVID-19 and it's associated basically with a picture of your face, like that's the first image people think of. Yeah. I want this thing named after me.
Right.
I prefer it to be Burloo #1, because once you get to Burloo, that's #1.
Right.
Yeah. None of this 19 stuff. That's basically the Twitter handle of somebody's like, damn it.
So
Twitter,
you want
it
people to be like, oh, I got the Burloos this year. Kind of like we call it the flu, and it's really influenza. Yeah. So you kind of want the Burloos to be a nickname for COVID-19.
Yeah, and I want all forms of Burloos in the description. If you got the runny Burloos, I want to hear about it. If you got the stuffed up Burloos, that's cool.
The runny Burloos.
You got that, the green pus Burloos. I mean, hell of a garage band.
Gotta say, doing this show for 6 years, not sure I'd ever thought of the two runny Burloos, those two words going together. But yay, we're always open to new ground here on the show. But
yeah, I mean, if anybody would be considered egg shape, it would be me, and that's what I want everybody to realize.
I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know how to address what you just said. But
it's always good just to get to the next subject.
Yeah, it's a good segue. But not a great segue, because considering how many times I think I came on here and said, oh man, I think the world is falling apart. The United States is falling apart. And I don't think it could fall apart much more right now. We got the president going after social media companies. We got Karens all over the place calling the cops on African American guys. And then, of course, we still have the age-old problem of cops killing black people again.
We had a good run there. I mean, pandemic. It's odd that a disease that kind of kills black people was kind of also saving black people from cops. But it's starting to clear up. We reduced our social distancing, so we're back to norm now.
Oh my god! I mean, if you're a black American, the last week and a half, you got to be like, my God, we can never move forward. Whether we are moving forward, and just the things that are being shown all the time are, more stories to try to get an uproar. But I mean, between the killing in what was it, South Carolina,
Minnesota?
No, yeah. I was the one. What's his name from the guy who was shot by the two rednecks in the pickup truck?
No, my friend,
oh,
Georgia Bound.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm sorry. I feel almost disrespectful for getting his name.
Damn. Once again, not getting credit.
Yeah.
But first, I don't get credit. Now my state won't give credit. When are you people going to learn?
Ahmaud Arbery. All right. That happened about, a week ago, maybe, something like that. And then this video surfaces of this killing in Minnesota that I assume you watched the video or seen. It is absolutely gut-wrenching. Like, it is... I don't even know what to say. The minute I watched it, I watched parts of it, and I was literally nauseous afterwards. Like, oh my God, like when does this end? And here I am, a white American. I have cops in the family. I know some cops. I don't know how anyone can spin this one. If you watch the video, there's the 7-8 minutes of this poor guy with a knee on his neck, literally begging for his life. Begging for his life. I can't breathe. I'm going to die. I don't feel good. Please, officer. Please, officer. So not only is he begging, people are recording this and gathering and begging this officer to take his knee off. Not only is that happening, is the officer not complying to any of that, there's 3 other officers standing around just going, well, he's responding. Everything is okay. Not only that, you get the people who blindly defend the cops. Like, what could have happened before? What did this guy... There's footage that comes out before, and the guy's just basically pulled out of a car, and he's in handcuffs on the ground on his stomach. At what point? What could he do at that point?
I think the biggest thing to kind of look at this is all the obvious triggers in there. I just want to remind people, this gentleman died because an employee at a Minneapolis grocery store called police after Floyd allegedly tried to pass a counterfeit $20 bill.
Yep.
This gentleman died for, at worst, trying to steal $20.
Yes.
If he's completely guilty or if he's innocent, whatever, this was the judge, jury, and executioner of why this man is no longer on the planet for a possible fake $20 bill. And it's the most amazing thing as I've heard cops try to defend themselves, and I can to a degree agree with cops. Like, you look at the percentage of people
for sure
that's dealt with, and all you dive down how many people have died from cops and all the factors. Yeah, they get a bum rap for one of the most strenuous jobs on the planet for some really bad eggs out there. But at the end of the day, how on earth can you say at any point, oh, we got to see his side of the story, when a guy died for, at best, $20? For 7-8 minutes straight, this is going on. When he could have saved this guy's life by releasing the pressure on his knee and say you want to still hold him down and prove your machinets, go to his back or something like that and hold him down. You have... How does a man die when you have 4 cops, 1 guy on the ground in handcuffs on his stomach? How is the end result a dead person? It makes absolutely no sense. And going back to your point, if at very least the cop is saying, okay, he's trying to do something to get out of this, get one of the 3 other guys, come over here, Jim, hold his legs. All right, if he's going to try to take off, we got him by the legs or something like that. It's mind-boggling.
What causes a cop to stay like... To me, it's an ego thing. This guy did not want to be wrong, and he's getting yelled at, and he's trying to sit there and prove his point that he's doing the right thing, and it's an ego thing. He's never been told that he's probably a senior officer, who's been, because he looks a little like he's probably been on the job for a long time. And reading some things today, whether they're true or not, apparently this guy's got a whole litany of complaints going into his record and stuff like that. But here's an example. What I think is a senior officer, and he does not want to be wrong. He does not want to be shown up. The other cops don't want to show him up because he's their, maybe he's the senior guy on the squad or on their shift or whatever. Ego, so much ego that he could not even change his position or move his knee or whatever it is that would have saved that guy's life. I don't care. That's why we don't. That's why we have a justice system, right? The whole thing is to try someone in court to see if they did something wrong, or to, how is this guy, saying that he has to, someone is ending up dead, executioner style. I mean, that's got to be one of the most torturous, painful deaths you can imagine. Just basically suffocating in front of people, in front of a crowd of people trying to help you.
Yeah, I guess it's the equivalent of being stuck at the bottom of the pool and just looking up and seeing all different swimmers and pool goers just staring at you. I really would love to know the answer to the question, what would have been the worst thing that would happen if he got away, I guess? What would have been the punishment for the cops themselves or loss in the community or stuff like that? Because that's what it always goes to, when they have somebody on the ground. It's we can't let him get away and stuff like that. And, you see with other ones, the guy who ran away from the cop and he shot him in the back, where he was I forget the entire story. I don't want to make stuff up. I think he said something he showed signs of, being causing danger or something like that, running away. But it just seems so silly that we're in this point where we got to literally say, okay, what is literally the worst that's going to happen? You really think this counterfeit $20 bill is going to lead to a mass murder spree? Do you feel he's an international spy? Is there any explanation other than you just wanted to prove a point? And it's just terrible that even as people taping it, the fellow cops were more worried about, let me stay in the front to make sure, one, you don't get a good view with the camera, right, and two, you don't get any closer to try to help the guy. I agree 100% with John Walsh when we had him on the show, where it's there are thousands of great cops out there who are literally out there that want to help us, and we shouldn't make this political. But at the same time, as we see stupid stuff like this that's uncalled for, it just makes you shake your head. And sadly, in a weird way, I can almost sit back and say, thank God I'm white, because I don't have to worry about this for the most part. I shouldn't have to feel like that.
I am. I'm trying to get for Monday when we record, when we release 300. I'm trying to get Tom Verney to come on. I messaged him today. He wasn't available till midnight, 11:30 midnight. So I said, well, I would love to hear your perspective on what happened. Okay, Tom Verney, for those of you who don't know, was a former NYPD detective. He's been on the show a few times, and he's just a really honest and great guest. So I do want to get him on, if even for 20 minutes on Monday, to really hear kind of what the protocol is and what possibly could have been going on. But I just don't see how anyone, you could be the biggest cop supporter, anti whatever, racist even. You can be the biggest racist if you want. I can't see how this could be defended. I cannot see how with what is, unless there's some, no, even then, even if the guy shot somebody, it's not the cop's job to kill him. It's their cop to arrest someone and then let the legal system handle him. It's so disgusting. And you think of the African American community, you grow up in these areas where you already, from birth, from a systematic thing, have been there's a fear of police. Because And what is fed to you on the TVs? It's these stories that keep happening. There is a problem. These cops are not being either reevaluated or retrained, or like maybe after a certain amount of years, people just assume they're fine and, oh, that's Burlow, he'll do a great job. These guys have to be held accountable all the time. Like, there has to be better training or better psychological evaluations, because you need to be sick in the head to have your knee on someone's spine while he's begging for help, just begging you not to kill him. He's not even trying to escape or fight you. He's begging you to not kill him. And you have to have psychological problems, and there's got to be people out there way smarter than me, okay, that can figure out how to train cops or how to keep a running record, how to stop this from happening.
I guess for starters, there's probably should be a better check on like mental health, not trying to disgrace anybody in blue, but like something to just kind of go, yearly checkup, how things going? Have you got aggressive? Like look at stuff like the cameras that they have, just kind of see, okay, what's going on in your
reviews,
head?
Reviews of all your arrests, reviews of,
And I think we need better technology. I remember kind of like the case I told you about where the guy was running away and the cops shot him in the back. I recall somebody put up a video, like somebody invented kind of like something that Batman would use, where it's the gun with the rope, with like the balls at the end. So when it shoots out and hits him in the legs, it spins around and totally incapacitates their legs. I mean, I don't know if you can make netting, or as silly as some of these things might sound, there's got to be a better way where we don't have this situation where a cop can go, well, he was squirming, so I had to do something. I don't even know, was there an official reason why he wasn't just in the back of the police car? But
exactly. You saying maybe there's a better way to take... This wasn't even an issue about taking them down or catching people. This guy was caught and down and in the most vulnerable position you could imagine. And how do you sit there, people, and like, listen, destroying your own community and the riots and the burning things clearly is not the answer to things, right? But how do you sit there and tell a race of people who has been disenfranchised for hundreds of years that every time there's a cop killing, it's broadcast, a cop killing someone, it's an African-American guy that looks like you, or it looks like your father, or it looks like your uncle, or it looks like your dad, whatever, being killed by a cop, being filmed, and no one can do anything about it, and it still happens. Yeah, does it happen to white people? Yeah, I'm sure it does. But no matter what, this is what the black community is witnessing over and over and over again. How do you tell them not to be absolutely angry? Yeah, looting and stuff like that. That happens every time there's a riot. I don't know what to say really about that, or even how to stop that.
Well, you got to look at it two different ways. Like, some people are justifying it like, well, you complain about black people, but look at this. And it's kind of like, no. Different people, different situations. You got to take it with a grain of salt, and just like, all right, that guy did, at worst, a smallest petty little crime, and these people are totally different, and then you attack them. But I kind of go back to a friend of mine who put something up on Facebook. You met her, Ashley, at my 40th birthday party.
Right.
And she said it best. If the protest for this was a bunch of black people getting semi-automatic guns and going to the municipal building to protest, just like the people who complained in Michigan, I wonder if they would have been just as cordial with them
100%
as this scenario.
I 100% agree. A week ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, a guy I used to work with sent me a video. I think it was in Paterson, New Jersey. It was this white dude brandishing a weapon, walking around with a gun in his hand, back and forth, and the cops are sitting there with their guns drawn, just kind of watching him, just kind of waiting for him to do. Like, you think if that was an African American guy, that would ever happen? These people are getting shot for candy bars, for for toy pistols, for forging, for having a fake $20 bill, maybe.
For jogging, and might have been the guy who stole something from their house, as I recall. Yeah. That was the guy in Georgia.
Yeah, how does this change? It is time for white politicians. Clearly, the black community is doing what they can, and there's leaders stepping up and try. But it is time for a cultural shift, man. Enough is enough, and it has to come from both sides, and it has to come from the top, and it has to come from everybody, man. Like, everybody should be outraged by that. Like, you gotta stop seeing everything for a side or pick a side. Like, it's an American person being killed by the police that your tax money goes to, the people that you trust with weapons. If you're a anti-gun person, right? Here's people with weapons killing citizens on the street. If you're a pro-gun person, here's a guy that, like back when the Constitution was made and the whole thing was guns to protect yourself from tyranny and government having too much power. Well, here's a guy who was murdered, and citizens don't have any kind of carry permit or the ability to maybe get that cop off. So you can make an argument for either side, because there is no sides in this. There is no sides. And if you're going to tell me that cop did the right thing and that guy was a threat, how was he a threat on the ground in handcuffs for 7 straight minutes? Was he a threat for minute 1? Yeah, maybe. Minute 2? Yeah, maybe. By minute 6 or 7, where are we getting an answer from?
Yeah, around minute 3, if you were still he's squirming or something like that, why aren't you going, guys, let's get him in the car?
Yeah, throw him in the back of the car. Yep.
He's cuffed. You got 3 more men, 3 more trained men to pick him up. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Scott, I really miss murder hornets nowadays. I mean, that was the one thing we could all join together and say, oh my God, we got to get rid of these as a country.
Yeah,
I think we should breed murder hornets just so it's a bigger problem, so we all concentrate as a team.
Yeah, I mean, I know we try to have fun on it, but it's just an issue that's just too big to not talk about. It's just too disgusting, man. It's too out there, and and that's what we see, right? That's what we see. What do we not see? What did we not see before cameras were around? It's probably sickening, It's at this point, it's like if officers making an arrest or any interaction, it should have to be recorded no matter what. Which I know that a lot of places do, but it should be even more somehow. Like, no camera, no arrest.
Yeah. Camera gets malfunctioned. Up, throw it out. Mm-hmm. But he was a murderer.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what to do. Yep.
I mean, if you're a black kid, and seeing that, how do you not grow up with anger and animosity towards the cops? How do you not?
It's crazy, one of our friends, she's Puerto Rican. She was telling my wife earlier today, she's like, I don't know how I'm going to have the conversation with my son, because that's a literal conversation most ethnic people need to do, is tell them, listen, you got to be careful with the police, even though they're on our side. They could be out to, even if you do a small mistake, even if you think you're cooperating, you have to. Yeah, you have to be careful. It's just sad.
It's time for white people to do 2 things: to shut up and speak up. Okay, and what I mean by that is to shut up about trying to find any support for this or denial of this, and disgracing the black community for being angry and whatnot. It's time to shut up and step back on that, okay, and allow black voices to speak. And it's time to speak up in support of this, in support of, fixing this and trying to culturally break this cycle that's been going on for forever now. If you're a citizen of the country, if you just take the black and white out of it, you should be outraged that something like that can happen to anyone. Anyone. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I want to get. I'm working on trying to get Tom on next week because I think it'd be very important to talk to him. We've talked to him before about a couple things, issues and whatnot. So I think it'd be really important, even if we can grab him for 15 minutes or so.
Absolutely.
But very hard to segue to a guest here. But I guess we will do that. So segueing to a guest. And, sorry, the George Floyd thing's pissing me off a lot. But so a couple of weeks ago, I was put in touch with a musician by the name of Ruthie Foster. Now, Ruthie, if you look up her resume, if you will, has been nominated for Grammys, has had blues albums of the year, has been in the business for decades and decades, making some phenomenal music. And she was a lot of fun to talk to. We interviewed her about a week and a half ago. So this is our interview with Ruthie Foster, and let's get right to it.
Yeah.
Ruthie, how are you?
Hey, I'm well. How you guys doing?
Holding up. Like, it's I feel like we're in the twilight zone as far as like every day seems to be the same over and over and over again over here in New Jersey. But how are you holding up, and where are you at tonight?
I am in Austin,
okay.
And yeah, it's not too bad. It was a beautiful day today, and went for a walk, and I've been recording off and on today. I know I've got a new CD coming out, but recording for the next one right now. So,
No,
yeah.
we have to ask everyone during kind of these times. We've asked our guests the last, like, I guess it's almost like the last 8 weeks, basically. How's the pandemic by you? Because Mike's in Georgia, I'm in Jersey, so two very different things. And how is Austin handling it?
Austin's doing pretty good, actually. We've got a few restaurants that are opening, and it's a slow process. We're in phase 3, I heard, soon. So, slowly. But, as far as the live music, it's still not happening because, you can't really get a band in and still get a lot of people in at a lot of these places because 6th Street is so, the businesses are so small, they could never make enough money to even pay for the, to stay open.
Yeah, that's great. Like I'm, I do comedy pretty regularly, and that's like, it's been 2 full months since the last time I played, did a set. It's weird. It's every day that goes by, every weekend that goes by, it feels further and further. It almost feels like a different lifetime ago. It's a strange feeling.
It is, and as a musician, the same thing. Me and my band, we're just kind of passing tracks back and forth, stems from our software, and we're trying to put in. It's kind of looking like we're putting another album together, really, because we all have this great software, and technology allows us to do things like this and really just make an album.
Right.
From homes.
Now, how is like the music process and like being creative and your mindset? Does it feel just like how you usually make albums, or does anything feel like a little off right now with everything going on?
For me, it's just a lot more relaxed. I kind of like it. I've been doing a lot of this particular type of recording for a long time as a vocalist because I can drop vocals into commercials. I can drop a vocal into PSAs.
Right.
And I've been doing that for years. I know several different types of software, music software, in order to do that. I have my own home studio set up, and I've had that since the 90s, back when, we had the Commodore 64 computers.
4-track recorder, right? Yeah.
4-track, yeah. So I've been doing this a long time. So this is like home for me. I don't mind doing this. And, going into the studio for me is it's a prep thing for me. And I'm a live music person when it comes to, I like a live audience when it comes to performing.
Of course,
Yeah.
And so the studio environment can be a little sterile for me sometimes. It depends on the studio. Some studios are very homey.
Yeah, I think one good thing coming from this, I think a lot of art is going to come pouring out either during this, no matter how long this lasts, or immediately after. I think there's going to be bands chomping at the bit to get these songs recorded that they've been able to write, whether they work collaboratively as a band or just a singer-songwriter does it and has like a wave of things to unleash on something. Like, hey, I got all these tunes, let's get in the studio, record them. So I do think this is going to benefit art in the long run.
Oh, yeah, big time. I'm already, just the way my band, the way we perform on just getting each other's stems and putting them in. Actually, I was getting ready to put down a vocal before I realized I had this interview.
You could just sing the answers to us if you want.
I was still connected to my microphone. I didn't realize my USB is going straight into my interface here.
Yeah.
So for me, this is like, this is heaven. I'm comfortable. I can come in the studio and just wear myself out, or I can just chill for the day and know that I can get up in the middle of the night and throw something down.
Yeah.
So it works for me.
So let me ask you, when early on you went to like New York City to try to make it into music biz, how different is the feeling trying stuff out there versus in your hometown in Texas?
Ooh, yeah. Living, anywhere. I lived in Passaic in New Jersey. And
All right.
I took the PATH train every morning to the city.
That small little town known as Manhattan. Yeah. Little blip on the map.
They're getting big though, Berlu. They're getting big pretty soon.
I heard they had a restaurant open over there. Is that true?
I was about to take off when I was there. Yeah, I'd park my truck in Hoboken and jump on the PATH train and get off at West 4th there and walk over to wherever I needed to be. I like walking. That's what I did like about being in the city because that kept me in shape. And I had to pretty much schedule my time, for walking too. And it gave me a chance to just get a feel for where I was, because there's so many cool places you can miss. If you cabin it, obviously you're on the subway. Back in the day when they had tokens, I had to keep up with those.
Right.
Yeah, you've got your competition times what, several thousand. So putting out music and getting noticed, that was a pretty big deal if you got any kind of crowd at all. And I had a little pickup gig at Bleecker and Thompson, Terra Blues, right beside the Bitter End, where the Bitter End used to be.
Bitter End, yeah. All right, yeah.
It was upstairs, and I had a 7 to 10 slot, which is kind of early for New York. That's early for the city. So I got a lot of tourists, and I would play a few of my own tunes. But with tourists, they want to hear the songs that they know. So I would go into Tracy Chapman because, I had the look. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once in a while I do that, just to get a few extra tips, But yeah, getting myself noticed. I was signed with Atlantic. I just signed with Atlantic Records when I got there. And for them, it was just about making a phone call. And that's how I got into a lot of these great places. I got into the Bitter End a lot. Basically, my guy was from the record label, which is called Girl. She's got great songs. Can you put her in the round on Friday night? And so that got me a little bit of recognition and really got my foot in the door to get a chance to write with some great songwriters too.
Ruthie, looking at your frame of work and your body of work, it's pretty crazy. You've been doing music now. Is it crazy to be entering the fifth decade of doing music? Like, you've been doing music for 40-something years, so entering 5 decades and seeing things change and change and change, and yet you have, diving into your music when we were scheduling this interview, like, you kind of have this, a voice that is kind of timeless. Like, it can transcend trends and whatnot. Like, but when it comes to writing and whatnot, do you go for this is going to be well received, this is going to be hit, or do you always kind of go with what you're feeling at the moment when you're writing?
That's a great question, because for me it does change sometimes, and I learned how to write in so many different ways while I was in New York. I took advantage. I was signed with a major label, but I never put anything out. I had great lawyers who advised me to own all of my songs,
right.
Hold on to anything I thought I really might want to put out later that I thought was a gem, but just write songs. And I was very prolific, so I fulfilled my contract and I wrote my songs for the time that I was signed. But I learned more from being around other songwriters while in New York. And these are songwriters who wrote with and for Anita Baker, Taylor Dayne, Cyndi Lauper, Barbra Streisand. And they all wrote so differently. One guy, I walk in and he's just got titles.
Yeah.
That's how he wrote. And I had never worked like that. So I learned how to write from a title. And another guy, he was big on hooks. I'd walk in and he's got these great hooks, like a great chorus. So we'd write from the middle out of a song. When you got to figure out a verse. Okay, we'll figure out maybe 3 verses. Okay, let's throw a bridge in there.
Right.
That was Peter Bliss wrote a lot like that for Cyndi Lauper. Let's see, and I learned these different. I picked up a lot of tools for songwriting.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with my time. That's what I did with the label being behind me. I used that to really hone my skills on how to write. And I think what came from that, and I was playing too. I played 5 nights a week somewhere. And so that gave me this opportunity to just to really go to school. Go to school on how to learn, how to write songs and how to entertain an audience. And even better, how to keep an audience, how to keep people from walking out of the door, because that's in the city.
For sure. Well, I know Mike's probably so sick of this question, but I'm fascinated, and it's probably a thing with me, but I'm fascinated by how artists write. It's like my favorite question to ask artists, because even with comedians, I got friends who go up on stage and they can come up with an idea on the walk from the subway and they go up on stage and do it. Then I got other friends who have wrote out every word that they're going to say, and it's so polished and so clean. And then like me, I'm somewhere in between that. Like I'll write an idea down, write it a little bit, and then kind of try to polish the stone on stage. Like if you were writing music solo, what is your process? Are you a strum it out on a guitar kind of girl? Like, are you a write the lyrics and then figure it out, or like how do you work?
It really it's different every time.
Yeah.
These days, because I haven't put out an all original CD in a long time.
Right.
I travel so much, and you being on stage, this when you're traveling, it's for me, it's hard to just sit down and come up with a full song.
Yeah. So,
I've got my handy, good iPhone. I put whatever I can for ideas. A lot of times it's really about groove. And it's about just feeling good about a groove. And trying to do that works. 4 or 5 chords that really work. For me, I'm in a place right now, and I love the question because it changes these days in the life.
Ruthie, hold on. We're losing you a little bit, and I don't want you to answer that question and not get the answer to it. Maybe it's when you're moving. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, try answering it just like that, and if not, we'll just reconnect. That usually works too. Okay. So go ahead. I'll edit this afterwards anyway. So.
Yeah, when I write, I try to write from a groove. I start with a groove on the guitar, and then I kind of worked my way out. Just last night, I was working with a little keyboard, and it started with just a melody, a really nice melody that, it caught my ear. And then I just worked my way down, to a chorus, and then I worked my way, and then I scoot back up to the top and go for the verse, start the verse. Yeah, kind of all over the place, really.
That's why I love it, because there's literally no one, there's no one way to do anything, but never, especially art. It's always interesting.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, and I have a bunch of guys in my band who are all writers, and I brought my keyboard player and my guitar player here to Austin, and we all sat in one room here in the house and wrote together. And it was really just about them bringing one had a verse, and then we all came up with a chorus, and then we all come up with a bridge, and then we put it together.
Yeah.
And the song wasn't even complete once we left, once they went back home. They went back home and just finished it. And now we've got 4 songs from that session.
That's a good session. Yeah.
Awesome session.
When you're on tour, do you like to go by a certain set on how you play, or are you kind of free will where you like to play around with like different notes, or play around with the song, or do covers? What are you like, a pretty much by the books, or are you just let's let it fly when you go on stage?
It's changed over the years. I started out with a set list, and these days it's more of the set list is an outline. It kind of lets me know where I might go if I get stuck. Sometimes you get an audience that's not really giving. I don't get this as much now, but sometimes you get an audience that's not really giving you anything back, and so the set list can act more as a guideline, some place to go. So it's a little mixed. I'll write a set list just in case I get up there and I really need to get back to some basics and, bring in a Bob Marley song just to break things up a little bit.
Right.
That always does it.
Yeah. When you said that, I had a smile on my face. I'm like, huh, yeah, I love Bob Marley. And then I had to focus on the interview for a second again. I'm like, oh yeah. If this interview was going bad and you were like, well, I like playing Bob Marley, I'm like, oh, me too. Most relatable guy ever, So, for those of you who don't know Ruthie, you should go look up some of her, some of the things she's been awarded with and honored with. And Ruthie, it's like, my question for you is, you've won blues music awards over and over and over again, and you've been nominated for Grammys. I think it's 3 times. I mean, when you are given an award or even brought up for an award in a Grammy, what kind of feeling is that? A rewarding feeling, or is it almost like, oh my, or do you even pay attention to that at all?
Oh gosh, the first time it's kind of you looking around the room and making sure. Yeah, you mean me?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Right.
And then this is the Grammys, and the second time I got a call about being nominated for the Grammys. I did the same things. Oh my gosh! And then you think about, oh gosh, okay, what am I wearing? Then you start really.
Yeah.
And then the third time, you're thinking, oh, okay, all right, this is it. This is real.
Yeah.
And the Grammy, it's a huge party. It's a great party. Yeah, it's validating. That's what it is.
That's awesome. And I kind of forgot to ask that my piggyback to that is, blues is this traditional music that doesn't seem to die and will probably never die, and always seems to find its way in almost every rock genre or even hip hop sometimes. But how do you go about keeping your blues playing fresh for new audiences? Like, because there's guys that want to come see the blues the way it's been done for 50, 60, 70 years, but there's, it still grabs new audiences, but you do have to kind of reinvent yourself a little bit all the time.
Yeah, you're right. And there are a lot of us out here who are trying to keep it alive. For me, I try to mix it with a lot of the old school stuff, like you've got Mississippi John Hurt. Not a lot of people. Well, I'll just say it like it is. You get a lot of white guitar players who are playing it, but you don't get a lot of black women playing John Lee Hooker, John Hurt.
Yep.
So I use it, and because I love the music too. And I'm one of the few guitar players, black women guitar players out here doing it. So I know visually that's going to get some attention. So I try to keep that old school sound in what I do. I always throw in a little Mississippi John Hurt. It's kind of like too when it comes to the Bob Marley thing. And Mississippi John Hurt is kind of the Bob Marley of the blues for us.
Now when you hear like a band that's obviously incorporated like the blues, but modified it. Like I was thinking when you were saying that, I was thinking of like, I don't know if you've heard like Alabama Shakes. Like there's a band that's just kind of, they're not doing anything completely new, but they're putting a complete twist on that. Do you get inspired by when you see bands like newer, younger bands like taking the blues and running with it, or are you like, I'm a traditionalist, I got to keep it, you're running too far with it,
No, not at all. Because you talked about the Blues Awards. I never really looked at myself as a blues artist.
Well, you were raised with gospel, right? Like you were a gospel singer? Yeah.
Yeah. So gospel was my go-to. It still is on live shows. There's gospel and there's Bob Marley. I can go to either one when I'm having a bad night and I'm good. And it's not about religion. It's just about feel good. It's about inspiring people.
Well, I feel like all those things start to intersect after a while anyway. Like, right? There's no like, it's hard these days to be like, that's just a jazz guy or that's just a guy. Like they all, a lot of genres start to blend after a while. And that's great.
Yeah, we have this artist. He won a Grammy. I want to say it was this year or last year, and he considers himself a blues artist and a fantastic negrito. This guy is like he's out there, but he's still very bluesy too. He can bring it back to old school. There's a very young guy that's out here doing all of this new stuff, and he's blending the old stuff with this new sound.
No.
Love that. I love to see that.
That's awesome.
Because it brings people back to the genre, it introduces people to the genre.
Yeah.
Now you've traveled all over the world doing your music. Can you name like one city or area where people might think, that's not an area where they get like real excited for your music, that you were like almost pleasantly surprised how upbeat the crowd was or anything like that?
Yeah, Germany. I was in where was I? Gosh, I can't remember the name of the city now. It's the Gross, the beer, Gross beer.
Gross.
Gross Blues Festival. This festival is huge, and it's all blues, and these people lose their minds. When you play a blues song that by I could pick anybody, and they just lose their minds, and they know the words and everything. And not only that, I've done interviews in parts of Germany where these guys are. They know the history of where a lot of it comes from. A lot of the blues comes where it comes from. It was all countries, a little bitty tiny place called Latvia, which is just under Russia, just south of Russia. And these people knew and loved their blues. And I was there to sing in their big band. They have a big band a radio big band is what they call it, the Latvian radio big band. And we had a great time doing blues music put to, I think it's 20-piece horns.
Jeez. Tell us about Live at the Paramount.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an idea to just do a big band theme, and it was really just something I wanted to just try live, and that's what I did in Latvia, and I did it again. This is about a year before the Paramount. I did it again in Finland, and finally I just decided I need to do something here local, and it was time to put another live CD out. And I thought, well, why not just go ahead and bring in a truck and try to get this recorded while we're doing this show. The show was booked,
right?
So we used a bunch of wonderful guys from here at UT. A lot of them were professors, and the rhythm section was made up of a lot of guys who play around Austin and have played with incredible musicians. So yeah, we did. I want to say, well, how many songs? I don't even know how many songs are on the CD, but I wanted to add the last two. I wanted those to be big band songs, legit big band songs like "Fly Me to the Moon,"
right,
and "Mac the Knife." And these,
yeah,
I used to do these songs when I was in a Navy band. I was a big band singer for 3 years in Charleston Navy Band. And a lot of folks don't know that about my history. They know I was in the military, but they didn't know what I did.
Right.
And that's what I used to do. I used to put on my little ice cream suit and go out and
ice cream suit. Yeah.
I'd go and sing for. We used to go around to different high schools because we were a recruiting band, and I wanted to do something like that and record it and see what happens if we put that out. And the Paramount is one of my favorite spots here in Austin. It's a huge, beautiful, over 100-year-old theater. I really wanted to capture it there. Gorgeous, gorgeous place to do it. It was a beautiful night. We sold the place out, and they had drinks named after the songs. They had some drink called the Ring of Fire tequila special.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that album is back out, correct? Like people are able to get back into that and really kind of feel what that's all about.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Is this something that's going to air, or is this being taped, or
It's we're recording, so
okay.
It's not live.
Yeah. So this is it's being released finally. It's just, I think it's been a year in the making, trying to get the video together and trying to get the audio mixed, and because it's a lot to do.
For sure.
Yeah.
So is there an estimated date of when that comes out, or
May 15th?
Oh,
yeah.
So that's literally, we're recording on the 14th, so that's tomorrow. So when this comes out, it'll be up and running tomorrow.
Yeah, I just got word that the Paramount just they put my name up on a marquee down there. They're going to leave it up over the weekend.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. A lot of people walking around probably too right now. So
with a mask, yeah.
Ruthie, I always love asking musicians this question. What is your favorite guilty pleasure song?
Ooh.
She's like, damn it, Mike.
It changes. Gosh. I can't say Bob Marley because we've already.
Oh, that's not. You can't be guilty.
Yeah, that's
about
not guilty.
Bob Marley. That's great.
Sure.
Yeah, it is a guilty pleasure thing for me, though.
All right.
Wow.
I'll start. I often sing Whitney Houston, "I Want to Dance with Somebody" all the time, and then it gets stuck in my ear like earworm, and I can't stop singing it. And my wife's like, enough already. Like, enough. It's 12 o'clock. It's time to go to bed. I'm like, babe, I just want to dance with somebody. And she's like, leave me alone. So, yeah, that's my song.
I like that one. I really do. I like that one. Gosh. It changes because when I'm in the middle of writing, I don't do as much listening because I don't want to, subconsciously into the songs and get in trouble later. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Like, I won't watch I'll watch comedy specials of like my favorite comics, but then after a while I'll go on a streak, and then after a while I'll turn them off for a while because I'm like, damn it, like I don't want to have that same exact thought on stage, and then like someone says, hey, I heard Chappelle do that one. Nice job, Scott, from in front of 20 people down the street. Like But Ruthie, I wanna thank you so much for sharing some time with us. It's really cool reading about your career, like whether it's from gospel to the Navy to like I said, you're kind of entering your 5th decade of doing different music and whatnot, which is amazing. And those are the kind of people we love to talk to. So I want to thank you for coming on. And if people want to check you out or listen to your music or follow you, what's the best place for them to go?
They can go to my website, and that's ruthiefoster.com. RUTHIE, Foster.com.
All right, Ruthie. Live at the Paramount's going to win. It's going to win the Grammy this year. So, yeah, 4th time's a charm. 4th time is a charm. You're going to pull this down. Ruthie, thanks so much, and stay safe out there. All right, Ruthie Foster, everybody. I hope.
Hopefully that picked you up, everybody.
I was just going to say, hope you picked you up. And I don't want to pretend like we went live with her and we were segued. Like we're talking now live like we were before with the Ruthie interview from a week and a half ago, placed in the middle. So if it sounds like we're like, oh, hey, like Ruthie, coming on, it's kind of not how it worked out this week.
I don't want people complaining about our energy, Scott. So
we've had that complaint recently. We've had that complaint. Yeah. Berlu, real quick, I did want to. I'll get to that then. Actually, let's try to actually bring the mood up. I know you got a game for us today, so let's. Let's do it.
I got a little game here and all that I like to call crossovers.
Crossovers, like Allen Iverson.
Something like that. I mean, he was amazing at that. But when I got here, Scott, I got a list of 12 guys and gals who were heroes or good guys in movies, and I got a list of villains on the other side.
Okay.
So what I would like to do is I'm going to do a little random number generator to see what the matchup is, and I want you to tell me how these two would meet up in a movie and who would win in a battle. If you win.
So it's a good guy versus a bad guy from movies. Who will win?
Different movie series, all that fun stuff.
So. Okay. Hopefully I know them all.
Okay. I think you do. Let me see. Number 1. I think you should know this one. It's Batman.
That's the guy that was bit by the spider and he was able to shoot webs out of his hand and fly across the city.
Sure, we'll go with that. All right. So Batman is facing, I like this matchup, the T-1000.
Okay.
So you got to tell me how these two had to go face-to-face and who wins in a battle.
How they got there? Oh, this is pretty easy. This is pretty easy. In fact, I think this was already in pre-production. So what had happened was Batman... he's a very tech-savvy guy. In fact, he has his tech team around him. What was his name? What was Morgan Freeman's character?
Alfred?
Yeah, Alfred. No, Morgan Freeman was...
Lucius.
Lucius? Fox.
Forget
Lucius
his
Fox.
Fox. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so he's got this amazing tech team around him, right? And one thing that Lucius never told him was about the Bruce Wayne Terminator program. Which they were developing. He was battling. He was making the Batmobiles, the Batcycles, and he was making these Terminators that would be Batman's assistants, because there's a lot of work for a man to do. So if Batman had a squad of Batmans, robot Batmans, he would be much more likely to maybe have a day off and also be able to listen. As quality as Batman is, it seems to be there's a whole lot of crime in Gotham always happening. So he's really not that effective. He's like 60 years worth of stories of Gotham crime.
I just like how the story entails that they built Terminators because he just needed a day off. Like the bat signal goes up. He's like, for the love of it's Memorial Day. I had the barbecue out there with Robin.
Yeah.
I was just chilling, and now you're telling me Two-Face is blowing up a hospital. Great.
Yeah. So, more than day off, more about just keeping the real Batman healthy, if you know what I mean. Like, he can't be out there every day. Eventually he's going to slip and die, or one of his batarangs is going to fail, whatever. So what had happened was, they met, and there was a power outage on the day of the release of the robot Batmans, and for some reason that power outage kind of scrambled the bat chip, if you call it, that was in T-1000's brain, and all it could focus on was Batman at that point, killing and eliminating Batman.
That's a good story. Now, who wins that battle?
Here's the thing. Batman is not going to win that. Okay? Batman is...
That's controversial.
I know. Batman's a little... he is a man when it comes down to it. Yeah, he's a... like the T-1000, very hard to kill. I mean, Batman, unless he was prepared for the T-1000 and had things that could shut him down... But I have to say, I think the T-1000... Batman doesn't face many robots. And the T-1000, pure robot, trained to kill, one focused mission to kill Batman, and there could be multiple of them. So I'm going to go with the T-1000.
That's an interesting. Now, people could debate that since Wayne Enterprises created T-1000, by rule, he would have a plan for the T-1000.
They could, unless Lucius was doing what he usually does, which is create under Wayne Enterprises, and present his stuff to Batman. Right? Gotcha. Like, he's kind of in charge of that department, at least in the Christopher Nolan movies, which, by the way, are the best 3 cohesive superhero movies together. But
I gotta be honest with you, I kind of loved the second one. I thought one had too much pre-story before getting to it, and I thought the third one was shaky at best.
See, I love all 3. I think all 3 are good. I think you got to rewatch the third one. The third one is pretty intense. The amount of storylines they weave in there, it's pretty cool. But
I like Bane's character, but I think they did a little too much on there.
I just always love the darkness of those movies and how they're able to... Like, the other day that movie came on, and that first scene with Bane taking that plane, man. That is such a sick scene.
It would be painful. Too bad for you.
Did I ever tell a story? I think I did, but I want to quickly... when my wife had... she was getting some tests done on her sleep. Because the sleep thing was wrong. Like, her sleep felt off, and she was feeling really tired all the time, so they thought maybe, she wasn't getting, enough REM sleep or whatever. And one of the things... This is when we lived in a place a couple years ago where we used to podcast from. So, basically, it was essentially a large studio in a way. There was no individual rooms. It was kind of like little sections. That's it. So, keep in mind, when I would make... it was hard to, be separate. Like, if you wanted to go in the bedroom, we put curtains up, but that was kind of it. So if I was watching TV, you could kind of hear whatever. And she got this thing she had to wear overnight, which was like a sleep sensor. And it would it would pick up any noise that that was made in there. So we had to sleep separately. So she slept on the couch, and I slept with Obi in the bed. So in the middle of the night, and it was a mask. It was a mask that covered her face, just her mouth part, and there was a microphone in it. And I guess I was snoring. And in the middle of the night, I feel tap, 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 tap on my feet. And she's just like in the mouth, like, babe, you got me cry. Like, it sounded like Bane. It looked like, so all day I was like, you want to breathe? You want to sleep now, do ya? Like, it was so fun. You will die. Like,
you should use those nostrils.
yeah. You have sleep apnea. And, oh, man, it was so fun. I remember, like, calling her Bane, and she had to, like, I'm like, easy, Bane. I'm just trying to sleep. And she started laughing. Like, so we had to, like, kind of silently try to laugh because, like, the doctors probably listened to that recording the next day.
You think he listens to the recording like another freaking Bane joke?
You can't.
Not even original.
You can't sleep on your back. Yeah. So that's my answer.
This matchup, I think I already know the answer. Who's going to win? But I'm just.
Can I pick a number? Or you got a good matchup first?
Let me do this matchup, and I'll let you.
All right. And you know what? I'm going to throw one back at you, and you're going to solve one.
Oh, okay. I like that.
The tables have turned.
Right. So your hero is Shaft. Your villain is Darth Vader.
Oh, this is too easy. First off, how they met.
See, yeah.
So here's what happened. Shaft is really big in like the 60s and 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
What also came out in the 60s and 70s? Well, in the 70s, a little more.
That would be a little thing called Star Wars.
What we call Star Wars. So what had happened? Here's what happened. George Lucas put out a casting call, right? And he put out in the description, okay, looking for a black man who can fight and who has a deep, smooth voice.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Okay, so what happened was Shaft saw the ad, applied for it. Darth Vader, who took it as a different way, black man, he's full black, smooth voice, he applied, and what happened was they both showed up at the application, the interviews, to be in the first Star Wars movie.
Oh.
Now, eventually, Darth got the part, because at that time, George Lucas wasn't sure what the villain's name was. He just wanted a dark figure who could fight. That's all he knew, And they got into it. Darth got the part because he said it was a little bit more space, and Shaft was just not happy about that. And blows exchanged, and Shaft felt he was the better actor. He said Darth's wearing a mask. He can't even do facial expressions, blah, 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 blah. I mean, Darth is two people. He's one guy's voice and one guy's body. How can this even happen? I'm everything. I am Shaft. I am the whole package. And a big fight ensued. But unfortunately, I mean, Darth Vader took care of him quite quickly because he showed what he could do. Which was choke him with the Force, and it was a pretty lame battle, actually.
See, I would, at the very least, if this happened, I would have loved just that orchestra that's used in Star Wars to start doing the Shaft song. I'd feel, like violins and flutes doing, he's a complicated man, but no one understands him but his woman.
Right, so that's what happened. Yeah.
All right. So you're going to pick. So I got 12. Don't use 1 or 7.
So any numbers?
A number between 1 and 12, except for 1 and 7.
I'll go with lucky number 8.
All right, I got Ace Ventura, and 1 through 12 again, except for 5 and 6.
Oh, number 1.
All right. I have Ace Ventura versus Professor Moriarty.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, clearly. I mean, that's an easy one, Burlo. Why don't you tell us how that happened?
Well, it's quite simple, Scott. See, there was this big, huge heist of the royal family's dogs.
Really?
And Ace Ventura, yes. And Ace Ventura had to fly over to England and solve this. And, wackiness ensues. There's stuff where Ace puts on the royal crown and it gets stuck on his head. And he's trying to get it off and it flies off and it goes in the toilet. And, all the royal helpers come in and he's like, do not go in there. Woo! He's doing all the classic Ace Ventura stuff. But he starts noticing that there's a bunch of crimes happening in the UK with like missing animals, and he's wondering what's going on. So he gets pulled aside and asked to go through some of the ancient texts of England.
Right.
And what he finds out is the Grand Master of Crime, the smartest man of crime, Professor Moriarty, was not only
Isn't it Moriarty?
What's that?
Isn't it Moriarty? Isn't that his name?
I thought it was Moriarty.
Oh, whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. It turns out he's so intelligent, he found a way to live forever.
Oh.
He's hundreds of years old, and he's still finding crimes, and he wants to fight the greatest detective in every time period. And he has figured out that the greatest detective of this time is Ace Ventura.
So it was a lull during that decade. It was couldn't find a lot of great detectives.
You can't have winners every decade, Scott. Come on. It's the 90s. Who are we going to get? All right? So we get into this epic battle between the two of them.
Now, I can't imagine either of them are like amazing fighters, are they?
Well, I mean, I believe Moriarty is skilled in many ways. I
he's
mean,
like a criminal mastermind.
Hundreds
kind
of
of
years old.
Yeah.
But what it turns out was he didn't realize that Ace had a little card up his sleeve of his will.
Right.
He did not realize that Ace Ventura could talk to the birds.
Oh.
And, yeah.
So, I see where this is going.
As he was trying to get away from this masterful crime, Ace Ventura was doing bird calls, and hundreds of birds flocking to him and started attacking Moriarty, bringing him down and ending in Ace Ventura winning the fight between the two.
Ace Ventura, wow, shock pick, if you will. It's amazing though, professor versus detective.
Well,
what about like did Sherlock ever step in and get involved in that story? Like, they got the pet detective and Detective Holmes, combo.
Now, see, that would be like an actual crossover. Like, that would be like that movie that went to DVD, Ace Ventura meets Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But I want the one-on-one setup.
Gotcha. All right.
Should I pick one for you, or you want to pick another one for me?
Let's do one more. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pick the hero. You're going to pick the villain. And then I'm going to also hand off my story halfway to you to finish.
Interesting.
I know. This is why I get paid the big money here. This is why companies like drone clone experts come to Verbal Shenanigans for this mind-blowing smartness.
Yeah. We're so smart, it takes us time to finish a sentence.
Yes.
So, I'm picking the hero, you said?
Sure.
All right. Okay. We are going with John McClane from Die Hard.
Okay. And I'll pick number 3.
John McClane versus Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid.
Oh, wow. All right. Wow. So here's how this kind of came about. John McClane and Lawrence, right? They're both, they both could fight. They both had some background in the fight world, but you would think that's where they met. That's not where they met. Okay. No. See, in karate, okay, you spend a lot of time shoeless. Okay, you spend a lot of time with your feet exposed. So foot care is pretty important. Like most men don't want to go to pedicures and things like that. Lawrence was like, look, if I'm going to be a karate champion and have cameras on my feet and these tournaments, and I want to have good-looking feet and strong toenails and things like that. So he would very often go to the to get a pedicure. Now, interestingly enough, John McClane, now they don't really tell you the background in the movie. Guy never liked to wear shoes. Never wore shoes. In fact, whole movie, no shoes. Okay, but he would go to work, no shoes. His wedding, no shoes. He was just a guy that liked the heels of his feet on the ground, touching the elements, being part of Mother Earth. And like he was reluctant to go to the pedicure thing. He was reluctant. Yeah. He likes that dirty hippie kind of foot,
There was that scene in Die Hard that they cut out where he walked into a 7-Eleven and they're like, hey, no shoes, no service. And he pulled out a gun on the guy.
Right.
And he said, yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah, that's exactly. They thought it was. They didn't want to do that line twice, is what I heard. So they kind of left So, McClane's wife at the time, like, look, John, you gotta do something about these feet, man. I mean, there's blood prints in the kitchen. There's dirt all over the living room. Like, what are we doing here? You got to go get a pedicure. You're coming with me. And then, Berlo, you know the rest of the story.
Well, yeah. So they go to this pedicure place, and while they're in there, the girl who's giving the pedicure says, you have the feet of a warrior. My cousin has this dojo that would love to see you.
The feet of the warrior is a really big compliment from what I remember, too.
Yes,
right.
Because, she saw the calluses, the firmness of the foot. She knew this was a warrior's foot.
Right.
So
the smell even, I heard.
Yeah, and he kept saying, no, that's not my style. I'm a cop. I fight as my job. I really don't want to be doing fight as, like, my hobby also.
Right.
So he's out on the beat one day, and guess who shows up? The whole Cobra Kai gang. And Johnny Lawrence is like, I'm the greatest fighter in this town, and I heard about this warrior's foot, and I need to prove to you that my feet are more powerful than yours. And John is like, I'm on the job. I don't want to deal with this and all. Little did he know, as he was running into the store, the whole Cobra Kai team picked up his car and flipped it over.
Oh.
Like 8 guys picked up the car and flipped it over.
Right.
And they're like, accept the fight. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
And everywhere he went, they just turmoil. They kept getting in his face. They would do whatever it took and all. And then Johnny remember hearing stories about him, and he did the ultimate shame. When he was getting out of his car to walk up the driveway, steps into a bunch of glass.
Oh, man.
Yes, yeah. And John is just in agony right now. And as he's trying to, like, get down and fix his feet and all, here comes Johnny Lawrence, and he just starts punching him like crazy. He's like, join the tournament. And he's pounding him. He refuses to stop. So John McClane realizes he can't run anymore.
Right.
Well, no pun intended because of the glass in his feet. But still.
Right.
He has to join the tournament and prove his worth. And they go, and lo and behold, the two of them meet up in the finals.
Oh, so it turned into blood sport for a second, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they're going there, and Johnny's trying to take it easy on Johnny Lawrence, John McClane, because he thinks, well, I'm an adult, you're a little kid, I shouldn't be doing this. But he's finding out Johnny Lawrence is a major fighter,
right?
And he's taking him down every moment. And They're even playing dirty ball. Like at one point, after he punches him in the stomach, he steps on his foot.
Dirty.
And,
Bush
and
League.
He's
Bush
in
League.
agony. And he just looks over, and there's Mr. Miyagi.
Really?
And they're looking eye to eye, and Mr. Miyagi doesn't even say anything. He just shakes his head, and John McClane knows what to do. So
pull out a gun and shoot him. The end.
So John McClane gets up,
right,
and he can't put that one foot on the ground that's in agony that got stomped on. So it's way up in the air, crane kick, game over, movie over. John McClane is your winner.
I like it. See, I had John McClane too. Mine was a little bit more, Johnny's doing all these crazy moves, and John McClane's just like, enough, and he just basically blows him away at the tournament, and the credits roll.
Indiana Jones style, huh?
Yeah. All right, well, yeah. Who are the other guys, by the way? Just before we
heroes, I had RoboCop, Ghostbusters, John Rambo, Buzz Lightyear, Paul Blart, Smokey from Smokey and the Bandit.
Blart.
Yeah, the dude, the Big Lebowski, and Captain Kirk. As for villains, we had Hannibal Lecter, Agent Smith from The Matrix, Scar from Lion King, the Wet Bandits, Carrie, Clubber Lang, Annie Wilkes from Misery, and Godzilla.
All right, yeah. Clubber Lang, hard to beat on that list. Hard to beat.
I would like the Ghostbusters versus Clubber Lang.
So it would be a 4v1?
I think Clubber could still take him.
I think I would go Clubber too. The Ghostbusters weren't exactly the most toughest guys in the world. They were more techie, so if he can get rid of their tech, I think he could take them. But yeah. So one thing before we kind of get to the end of this here, I found something interesting the other day. We interviewed David Howard Thornton from the Terrifier movie. Speaking of movies, that's what kind of got me thinking of this.
Art the Clown. Yeah,
Art the Clown. I believe Terrifier 2 is gonna get ready to come out, or at least be finished up and in production or whatever. But one of the people that had followed Verbal Shenanigans through our post was somebody who watched the Terrifier movie. His whole claim, watching Terrifier every day, was his handle. And he updates his watch count. So how many he's at. So he's currently up to watch count 93, Burlo. I'm just curious. Wow. Is there a movie that you could watch every day?
Watch every day.
And what does it say about a person watching Terrifier every day for 93 days?
Yeah, that's. Yeah. I mean, it's a good horror movie, but that's a new level when you say I have to watch this horror movie every single time.
Right.
Like, as much as we even joke about like how I talk about Nightmare on Elm Street, I cannot watch any of the series 93 days in a row.
Yeah, not even 90 times. 93 days in a row. Like that, Like, I've probably seen parts of Shawshank Redemption 50 times, I'd say. I've probably seen parts of it. And I don't think I can watch that every day. I don't think I can watch any movie every day. I'm just wondering if there is a movie that could be watched every day and not gotten sick of.
I'm trying to think in my head, the criteria would have to be kind of a short movie, maybe in an hour and a half time range would be the max I could see. I don't think it could be a horror. I don't think it could be too much of a drama because after
I don't think it could be a comedy though. Oof.
It would have to be it would have to be almost like a stupid comedy for it to work for 93 days.
Yeah, a joke hitting 90 times in a row. Oof. I think it would have to be some kind of drama where you could analyze someone's deep performance or something like that, and really get into their acting or something. But I can't think of a particular movie that would ever hold up that under that much discrepancy.
Yeah, I'm literally going through my head of my favorite movies and trying to say, okay, Like even making it to 30 days might be a challenge for me.
All right, Mike, your challenge is to watch Leprechaun for 93 days straight. I think that would drive someone to the point of madness, actually, watching a movie they don't want to watch for 90-something days. Remember that scene in The Walking Dead where, like, Daryl's, like, in that room and they just keep playing that song over and over and over again? That's what I feel like it would be like.
Like, I'm even trying very hard to come up with some kind of answer, and
I thought like Goodfellas maybe because I just love that movie so much, but I don't think so. I don't think even that can hold up enough for me.
Maybe Fight Club.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's one of those. It's got some dark comedy in it. It's got action.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jeez, 93
yeah.
days.
So anyway, that's the kind of people we attract to our social media here. But
well, I can add on to that with my story, Scott. If
okay.
You want.
All right. So who contacted you this week?
Okay, it's a guy I talked to maybe twice on Facebook.
Okay.
It's basically the guy is in one of the groups. It's a baseball group, and I remember the only reason we had somewhat a conversation, like the topic was name somebody who always tried to swing for the fence.
Gary Sheffield.
Never accepted anything. And I answered with Matt Stairs, and I basically said he gets angry if he gets a single. And then the guy kind of came back, hey, watch it, man. I love Matt. You got to be careful. And I kind of replied back. Well, I replied back. He literally said that in an interview. Like when people talk about that big home run he had against the Dodgers, he literally says, every time I go up there, I swing for the fences. Anything less, I hate.
First off, what sports fan is blindly defending Matt Stairs? Stairs of all people. Like,
yeah, well, the caveat was why I kept talking to him was he said something to the effect that he's somewhat a family friend, and I would love him on the podcast. So it's like,
there you go.
I'll keep you close, but keep you at a distance.
But my answer to that question was Gary Sheffield. You remember how hard that guy swung, man?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, he would swing so hard. It was like a violent swing.
Yeah, it was a very... They both had like a lumberjack-esque kind of swing where it's just like, I'm putting everything into this. If this hits the grass in any way, I'm going to be out at first.
Gary is a fun watch, man. I liked Gary Sheffield a lot.
Yeah. So, this guy, he sends me a message. Hi, Mike. Let me know when you have a minute. I need your help with something. You want to get a rough guess on what time he sent this message to me, as in time of day?
I'm going to cheat because I'm looking at the pictures you sent me. Midnight.
2:28 a.m. On a Sunday, on Memorial Day weekend Sunday.
Nice. Okay.
So, obviously I wasn't up. So, 7 hours later, he sends another message, hello, with a question mark. And I don't know why. Sometimes I'm nice. I don't know why I go through with some of these conversations I don't want, but I'm okay.
Yeah, I would kind of do the same thing. I would probably do it for the adventure. I'd be like, all right, what the hell does this guy want?
So his question was, how familiar are you with 90s football jerseys?
Okay.
I answered as honestly as possible. I said, I mean, no expert, but able to recognize a team jersey. And then he proceeds to tell me, it's more like a practice jersey of sorts. Should I take a pic? And before I go to the next comment, my first thought is, well, if you're asking me for advice, how the hell else would I know the answer?
Right.
So but he's like been spending hours on Google and can't seem to find a matching pic. Extremely frustrating. So
okay.
I'm like, sure, send me the pictures. Now, I texted over you these pictures, Scott.
Yeah.
Now, without even going further in the conversation, this just looks like a jersey you pick up at Walmart.
This looks like, from what I remember back in the day, like, yeah, something you would pick up. In my neighborhood, it was, at the time, it was Kmart, Bradley's, or Caldor. This was something that would be perfect for their rack, like.
Yeah, and we can put it up on our social media, but it's basically, it's a jersey that says Raiders football with the NFL emblem in the middle.
Yeah, that's the fun part. That's the fun part. It's Raiders football, but the NFL emblem in the middle, which is generally what teams do. When you're watching the Flyers, right? Don't they usually have NHL right in the middle of the big?
It's Flyers, and then under it says the sport, hockey, and then in the middle you gotta say the league of the hockey league,
right?
Of course,
right.
So I didn't say anything at first because I was out and I was actually enjoying my Sunday. But an hour later, he chimes any input, and I was still enjoying myself. So I didn't reply till an hour later, and it was pretty straightforward. I'm like, not real sure. From first looks, it seems like a shirt from the store. I even gave him the advice, probably should investigate starter practice jersey to see when the NFL agreement started and may find something going by that year.
Yeah, look at you.
And then 2 hours later, he proceeds to say, it's definitely a jersey. I've tried everything.
This guy's definitely bought this thing on eBay, got way overcharged for it, and is now like, oh, crap, I got screwed.
Yeah. There is nothing about it that, like I said, looks anything less than a cow door. And the fact that he went out of his way to talk to somebody he may have talked to at best 2 times.
Yeah.
And to chime at 2:28 a.m. on Memorial Day weekend on a Sunday makes me really wonder why I talk to anybody at all.
Now, did you answer anything else after that, or you just kind of left it?
That was literally the last conversation I had with this gentleman.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, if he chimes me, hey, I got Matt Stairs, I will be his best buddy.
Hey, I'll buy that jersey from you.
Yeah. How's that Raiders practice jersey doing, buddy?
Yeah.
I looked it up. That thing is worth mega money.
Yeah. Mike has been attracting some interesting people lately. If you haven't listened, he attracted an interesting Bigfoot guy. He attracted this guy. He's pissed off the Bigfoot community. I mean, he's he brought us into a guy that says we have low energy. So I don't know. I guess we just Mike attracts the weirdos is what I'm saying. That's part of his job description on the show.
I'm famous in many communities, and when you say which ones, every time I describe one, you'll go, how? And I, too, ask myself, how? And I also ask myself, why?
Well,
but
I do that.
You people get these stories.
Yeah, I do that every week. So let's wrap it up here. I know it's been if this doesn't describe our show, ranting about like a political story, something in the news. Then we went to a musician. Then we came back and played a game about what superheroes would beat each other. And then we talked about weird people we interacted with. And that is kind of what you're going to get here. We are the smorgasbord of podcasts here. We never stay on topic, and we kind of like that.
Nope. We're the ADHD community.
Nope. And, so that's kind of it, guys. That's kind of our show in a nutshell. Even with the guests we got, people always ask me, like, what kind of podcast are you? Like, I was talking to a guy today, a guy that I know that's really into making sculptures and stuff like that. I think I even told you he got to work on the Iron Man helmet a couple months ago. Yep. He was doing something on Instagram Live. I'm like, hey, Dan, how you doing? And he's like, oh, cool. I told him, I said, I was just thinking of you the other day because I think you would like our interview with Howard Berger, And he's like, oh, yeah, I never got to work over there. Send me. He's like, what is the podcast? Is it a movie podcast? I'm like, oh, crap. And I have to type this through comments. I'm like, well, no. And we try to interview interesting people, and that's kind of
how do I put it? It's a radio-style comedy banter podcast that includes interviews with celebrities or interesting people.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, essentially, if we didn't do what we did, it wouldn't last this long, to be honest. So, as we roll into episode 300. It's time for us to get out of here. So, Berlo, anything to promote before we go?
Well, I'll promote my podcast that will come out after this, which will be the one about famous NFL practice jerseys. An expert
wow. A whole podcast about it. That's really interesting.
That one's going to at least 500, bro. I can't stop it.
In 1 year. In 1 year, probably.
I mean, the conversations we'll have about the 77 Buccaneers practice jerseys will be
one of the best ones.
One of the best.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I'm going to promote a brewery that I just frequented last weekend. In fact, that was a brewery I was at when I was getting chimed about these freaking practice jerseys, and that's Drowned Valley Brewing Company. They're here in Cartersville, Georgia. Beautiful setup. They have an outdoor patio arena. They bring in food trucks on Fridays and Saturdays. They're open to do flights right now. They have social distancing involved, or you can bring a crowler at home. I had a delicious oatmeal stout that they had, the OS Express. Highly recommend that. They also have seltzers that my wife absolutely loved, and she's not a person that drinks alcohol, so that's a compliment for anybody.
There you go.
So if you are interested, their name is Drowned Valley Brewing Company, and they're off South Tennessee Street in Cartersville, Georgia. Highly recommend checking them out.
All right, and I will promote a very good friend of the show, very good friend of mine, also a fellow comic. I don't even know him from comedy. I met him before, but very funny man, Joe Fernandez, is putting out his first comedy album on June 9th, and it is available for pre-order. Joe is a hilarious comic. It's called Impossible Human. That's coming out. It's ready for pre-order now, but on June 9th, it'll be up, I think, on like Spotify and iTunes and all that. Joe's a good guy. We're actually going to get him on the show right around the release of that. And have him back on. He was on an episode, God, a long time ago. I think maybe
29, I want to say, almost.
Yeah, I had him on, and I actually did one with Joe before Mike, and then he was also a participant with Mike on his 40th birthday.
He's gonna join the 3-time crew.
Yeah, he might.
That's gonna be the bigger announcement.
He might secretly be a 4-timer. If we go back, he might be a. I don't know.
I got to go into the Google Sheets, but keep talking about his comedy.
Yeah, so go check out Impossible Human, Joe Fernandez, coming out in a few weeks. Support local comedy, support your local artists. Guys, that's it. I got to say, doing this twice a week has been a little hectic, but it's been really enjoyable. It's kind of made me fall back in love with the podcast. Not that I've ever fallen out of love with you guys, but it's been exciting again. It's been exciting to put out content. We've gotten so many great guests and so many really good guests coming up, to the fact that we have to decide which days we want to put one out and what days we think would be more appropriate. So it's kind of interesting. But other than that, we will see you in a few days for episode 300 of the Verbal Shenanigans podcast. Guys, life is funny. Laugh at it. Keep the wind at your back.
Joe was on 3 times. Good for him.
Bye, guys.
Take me back in time. Yeah, tonight I'm wondering, what are you listening to? Is it a cover band in some kind